Peace. You are tuned into Edible Activists with your host and favorite edible activist, Melissa L. Jones. On this show, we honor Black people and their stories in food and agriculture, celebrating legacy, traditions, contributions, and creativity that all stem from the land. So tune in and let's get started. Peace. This is your host and favorite edible activist, Melissa L. Jones. We are tapping into the roots of land stewardship and regenerative agriculture with the brilliant mind behind Great Mother Garden Solutions. From soil health to community building, this grower, the wonderful Tammy, is reclaiming ancestral knowledge and empowering Black and brown growers to reconnect with the land. Welcome, Tammy.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to see you.
I'm happy to be here. It's like...
And it makes me extra happy because you have supported like so much of what I've done.
Yeah, well, I love your podcast. I like coming out. I like being able to support other farmers.
Yes.
So yeah, what you're doing is an awesome service.
Thank you so much. Tammy was at the kickback that we had last year, live podcast events, and just other things. And so I just appreciate your support.
Well,
and just always just a genuine spirit every time I see you.
Looking forward to the next kickback.
Oh, listen, let's put it out in the ether.
Okay.
And she came bearing gifts, but we'll get into that soon. All right, Tammy, I'm so excited because I had never had the opportunity to sit down in this intimate space to chat. So now we get to do that. And also the world gets to learn more about you and your amazing work. And so we're going to get into it. So want to kick off with what inspired you to create Great Mother Garden Solutions, and how has your ancestral knowledge influenced your approach to land stewardship?
Well, I would say the inspiration to create it was me being in the UDC Beginning Farmer Program. I was already practicing herbalism like at home. COVID changed everything for everybody. And while I've been practicing herbalism on a small scale for about 25 years, I'm 51, right? So about 25 years, when COVID came, it was like, oh, wait a minute, I hadn't done enough. So that's when I started like mass building my apothecary. And then the plants started saying, look, you need to meet us. You need to know me, right? And so, because I had bought all this stuff from like the big box sellers, and I don't want to name any of them, but the big box sellers. And I was, making my extracts, making my teas and staying healthy. But then it was like the plants started talking to me and it was like, you really don't know us. And so I was like, what? So I didn't really understand what that meant. And so, some things people might not know about me is a pretty spiritual person. So I'm pretty much in the 5D more than I'm in the 3D, right? And so for me, when they started saying that, I was like, okay, so what you mean? So they was like, well, what do I look like in person? And then I was like, oh, I don't know you, right? And so then I was like, well, then I tried to grow a house plant. Oh my God, it was an epic fail, right? I went and bought plants for the house. I was like, to see if I could grow, and I couldn't. They was dying. So, but I was like, I don't know what to do now because they're dying. I can't keep plants. And so I told my sister, me and my husband always wanted to farm, right? So that was a dream that we had. And now that we're not so much in the same space no more, that never lost with me. And my sister got me into the UDC Beginner Farmers Program. She told me about it. She sent me that email, that text message. I signed up for the class before I responded. And I had already signed. I said, I registered. Are you registering? And so she was like, oh, okay, I'll register. And so we did it together. And I've been farming. So once I learned how to farm and I learned about soil health.
Yeah,
then I can keep stuff alive. I kill a lot of stuff too still, because it's just a part of the game.
It's a part of the game,
right?
Exactly.
But I can keep things alive now, and so that's how. Yeah.
You mentioned so many things, and goodness, where do I start? No. I know I appreciate. I love context. So the plant said, you don't know me. The herb said, you don't know me like that. So that's something that you just kind of just felt in your soul, like, because that speaking to that relationship or having that relationship with nature, right?
So the plant teachers, right?
Uh-huh.
So my interactive workshop is Farmer Tammy and the plant teachers. The plant teachers speak to them, to the plants that speak to me, who share with me, right? So everything they share with me, I share with everybody else. So it's like I learn what the plants do, but like I said, I've been studying plant medicine for like 25 years, reading, right? Studying other herbalists, not really having the money to get into any of those herbal programs.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're very expensive, and I had young kids, most of my life. So I didn't do those things, and I didn't have those opportunities. But when they spoke to me, and it was like, well, and I got into that program, which was, again, you can say what you want to say about UDC, and I probably got some things I would say, but I appreciate them for everything because I learned so much. And I got to meet them in person. When you put seed to soil, it's calendula is calendula when you buy her in the store, but when you get to see her, the grand regalia, it's like
A whole nother experience.
Different respect, a whole different experience. So I wanted more of that, and I got a lot of it. So now I know, right?
Absolutely. No, very fair, fair. The other thing that you had mentioned too was that once were able to get your foundations of taking care of the soil, like it was up from there.
The plants take off. And
the plants take off. That's a T-shirt, Tam.
It really is. Because I tell you, it's not about me. It's not about the grower, only in that my intention must be there and wholesome, right? And it don't even have to be that. But if you make the bed and you make it right, just like the Goldilocks and the 3 bears, right? You make the bed right. The soil and the seed gonna do what it do.
It's gonna do what
it do. And Mother Nature, Mother Earth, Great Mother, she's gonna do what she do. So that's what I concentrate on. I don't try to worry about the seed, the plant, or even what I'm growing. Because it's a lot of touchy things. Just make the bed right and try to keep those conditions perfect. You're going to always get top-notch results.
Absolutely.
Top-notch results.
So, and goodness, we are kind of in the weeds of science, right? So, which I love because you said I love these analogies, like make the bed.
You got to make the bed right.
Soil health is super important. And you spoke to conditions.
The conditions.
And as a grower and a farmer, it's so many conditions, especially in this turbulent climate, right? And having to adjust.
Yes. And I guess I'm on the cutting edge of that because I only grow in mushroom compost. That's something that I learned at UDC, from my great mentors, Mr. Larry, Mr. Roy. I only grow in mushroom compost.
Wow.
That's it. And a lot of people don't. It was what I was introduced to, and it was successful for me off the top. So I don't ever want to change unless I see a reason to, and right now I don't. So
if it's working for you,
right.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. And the key to the mushroom compost is it goes back to the soil health because a lot of people, even who don't grow in mushroom compost, will talk about soil health. And shout out to all my soil health guys again, Mr. Larry, Mr. Roy, Major. People who just dig into the soil and care about those microbes and those mycorrhiza, right? And for me on a spiritual level, it's the elementals, right? It's the elementals because everything has a spirit and an essence, even the soil, every kingdom, right? So I kind of connected to it on that level. But once I learned about the actual soil health and the things that are actually in there, because spiritually it's just energy, right? But in the 3D, it's mycorrhiza, it's mycelium. It's those things that get in there and build the networks that allow plants to grow. A lot of times when we fail, it's because we're doing too much, right? When you make the bed right, I'm not gonna say which person said it, but one of my mentors had a good example. Once the mycorrhiza get in there, imagine a bed, right? And you got your plants growing, and one plant over here, and it might be a different plant. Oh, imagine your forest, right? That mycelium, they're under the ground, and they're able to, this plant needs some of this. This plant needs some of this. And it gets everything what it needs as it needs it to continue sustainable growth. That's why forests look so lush when we walk in the middle. You walk in the middle of the forest and you come to it, it's like, wow, nobody has been there. but it looks so cultivated. But it's because the earth is cultivating itself, And so those conditions, that's how I want to grow. That's the expansion of growing for me.
Absolutely.
Just allowing it to be.
And as we're talking about soil health and microbiome and stuff, so it's related to our guts and what we put into our system, right? Because
all connected.
You can believe this or not, but it starts with the gut and what you're feeding the gut.
Starts with the gut, what you're feeding the gut. Yep.
Preach, Tammy.
Gut health is everything. But it's funny. The gut is like I guess you could compare it to the center of the earth, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe you can.
Listen.
And womb health in there too comes, everything is everything, like Lauryn Hill told us, the great Lauryn Hill.
I love it. Can we talk about dandelions?
Yeah, let's talk about them. I love them.
So I think word on the street is like, you love dandelions.
I love dandelion root.
And I've heard a few good growers like talk about dandelions and like the huge like benefits behind dandelions. Oh, just put them in your salad. Just do this and make your skin glow. Like, can we preach for a moment on dandelions?
We can. So first of all, I love to eat them, right? I love the leaves. I love the leaves and honey mustard. So they're very bitter. So they're what you would call bitters, right? And so, but I like the bitter. And we need the bitter. Back to the gut, right? That is going to heal the gut or help support the gut. But dandelions are going to get into kidney health and they're going to get into moving things out. So you got your kidneys, you got your liver, you got your pancreas, right? So those are the things that's moving waste, right? So we eat, the waste has to go, right? Dandelions make sure the kidneys are doing what it needs to do to push through that pancreas to the liver, which is on the way out. And so a lot of times, dandelions are so strong because they can do that by themselves a lot of times. If you got a modicum of a healthy diet, it's gonna support that. But dandelions became so important to me because of our community. Everywhere you go, it's dialysis. People's kidneys are failing by the dozens, and we only got 2. So that's what triggered that for me, right? Pain and kidney health, dialysis. Those are the 2 things that kind of, for me as an herbalist, because that's what affects our community. So dandelion, we got to veer off a little bit to burdock root, which is what I'm drinking this morning, right? This is burdock root tea. It does the same thing as dandelion, very similar. It has other properties. All these plants have other properties, but these are what they're known for. So burdock does the same thing in our kidneys, very similar to what dandelion does. So a lot of times when I'm dealing with somebody who is stressed in that way, I'm gonna say both, right? Go for both.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'm gonna push the milk thistle, that's a seed pollinator plant that really everybody needs to be growing. It will help the butterflies, the bees. It's just, and there's so many thistles, right? It's a lot of varieties. And they grow wild right around here. But milk thistle specifically is a liver protector. It protects the liver and it allows the functions, it supports the functions, right? So if I'm dealing with somebody on dialysis, and it's so funny, I met a person a couple of years ago. That person never, he never followed up with me. And I really wanted to help him because he had nothing. We had discussed, he said, yeah, my kidneys are failing.
Yeah.
I go to dialysis. My mom's kidneys failed, she died. I'm going to dialysis. This man was not 50, right? And this was 2 years ago. And he had already resolved himself because the doctors said there was nothing they could do for him. I was appalled and flabbergasted.
Wow.
Because I'm like, what are you on? He was like, I ain't on nothing.
Wow.
Because as an herbalist, I always ask that because I don't want to give you herbs and you're taking medicine. And he said, no, I'm not on anything. And I said, well, I don't understand. You said your kidneys are failing. He said, well, they don't have nothing for that. And I'm sitting here thinking, you need some dandelion, you need some milk thistle. Why don't they give? Well, and I know why they aren't.
Right, of course, yeah.
But, me and that guy, it was just demoralizing hearing. He was demoralized. It was nothing I can do. I'm just gonna live my life until I die, basically.
Which is so sad.
Which is completely sad. I mean, to the point, We had played phone tag. I had bought all this stuff for this guy. I was gonna give it to him, and we never reconnected, you know. And I think he was just tired of following a pipe dream. You know, you've been doing something so long, and now some girl, now you can help me? How you gonna help me? And I've been to these, so I get that sentiment, you know, from folks, but if you come to me, I'm gonna do my best to try to help you or put you in the direction that can. But milk thistle, dandelion, burdock, I mean, just dandelion as the base is a great start if you have a modicum of good health. Because 9 times out of 10, the other things won't break down. And that's something that you can drink daily. You know, even burdock, this is a tonic. The root is like potatoes in China.
Yeah.
They eat them like potatoes, and that's why you see Chinese people very healthy over there. 70,
They're super
80-year-old people
healthy.
carrying carts and
Can squat and flexible and
exactly, because this is the main, well, one of the secrets I said it's good for kidney health for burdock root, but it's also a big time anti-inflammatory. So like I have arthritis. In my previous life, I was a construction engineer, right? So I did a lot of construction work, lifting things, picking stuff up. My knees, my elbows. The dandelion root, I can drink this. Not only am I supporting my kidney health, but I'm supporting my arthritis as well. Any arthritic pain that I have normally goes away. So like every now and then it'll shoot my knee. I'm like, oh, okay. I make a half a gallon of this. I drink it in 2 hours. It's gone. The pain gone. Now, arthritis is tricky because it ain't leaving you. It's just going to hide away somewhere else.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to stay on top of it. But that's why this is food, you know, and that's why I want to try to encourage. Certain herbs are food.
Absolutely.
Like burdock, and we eat potatoes. We love potatoes. If you cook a burdock root, season that thing up like you do a potato, you're going to love it. Because it's going to taste good.
That's new.
Exactly.
That's new.
Exactly.
And I think that's also maybe a clever way to kind of introduce herbs because, you know, I think some folks feel like, and not speaking to you generally, like there's so many like herbalists and it's just like, hey, I got this for that. And sometimes you feel like their products are just being peddled to you and it's just like, tell me how to use it, what it's really for. And I've been in those positions and it's not comfortable at all. Don't just give me a thing just to say it's a thing.
Right.
But I appreciate all the education that you put behind it because, I mean, no shade. Like, there's some herbalists that don't do the greatest job at educating.
And I'm sure they mean well.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to get a product out. And, right. I'm going to say that. Because for me, I mean, you know I can be a joke sometimes. You see me at play, when I'm out in the street, I'm clanking. I got 4 bottles in my pocket right now.
But you're also using your product.
Would it be for me? Like, they be for me. Right. they do be for me.
Y'all should have saw us when Tammy came in. Like, well, she came bearing gifts, and then she had all this stuff in her pocket for her. That rose ashtray was for her.
But I try to keep those things because I will give them away.
Yeah, you will. Because and you have.
I have and I do. Because you never know when you run into somebody. Like I was at, I'm not going to say where I was at, but I was at a particular place doing a tour. And it was a really big place, bunch of people, but they were working warehouse, right? So somebody was walking through all stiff. I want to get up and show you how he was walking. But he was walking so stiff. And then the person who was giving us the tour was like, hey, Bob or whatever, are you all right? He's like, my neck is hurting kind of. I was like, oh, okay, we'll see you later. And we continued on our tour. But that morning before I got there, I had been preparing some of my mother's Kiss blend to ship out, right? And when I was making my blend, I had extra. Yeah, I had made too much for the bottle that I was shipping out. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do with this? So I grabbed the 2-ounce bottle and just filled it up, stuck a label on. I was like, well, maybe I said I was going to leave it there for, when I go to a market or something. But then something said, no, take it with you. And I'm like, I got all kind of crap in my, okay, I'm going to take it with me, right? 'Cause I don't have pain like that, so I don't carry the mother's kiss all the time. So, but I said, okay, I'll take it with me. But I was going to this tour. So when I got to the tour, the guy was walking like he couldn't move. And she spoke to him, and I was like, that's why I bought the mother's kiss. So as soon as I got a break, as we started to move, the guy was kind of stiffly doing whatever he was doing. I just got away from my group and I walked over to him and I was like, I don't know if you want. Look, I'm a peddler, right?
No, not you.
Right, but I am though, and it's okay, right?
Or
I'm
different
like, I
type.
don't know. I was like, I don't know, what's going on with your back and your neck, but I'm a herbalist. This is a pain blend for neck back pain, and
Yeah.
it'll help you if you use it right now. Like, and he was like, for real? I was like, okay. I was like, just don't drink it enough and just rub it on your spot. Be liberal. I left, right? He was, oh, thank you so much. He went trotting off to wherever their restaurant was to do that. And I went on with my tour. I don't know what happened. I never saw the guy again, right? But I'm assuming, I know it worked because it is what it do. But that's the spirit of just carrying stuff in my pocket.
Yeah.
Because pain, you see it in people's face. You can't think straight.
It is, the discomfort is, you can't hide it.
You can't take off work because we're stuck on these jobs that we have to pay our bills.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's when I fell in love with Spilanthes, which is one of my main pain herbs. And I made that Mother's Kiss blend because it's just seeing pain on people's face is tough.
It is.
And I just didn't want to see that no more.
Yeah.
So I make the blend and it works. And I just shipped some to a friend the other day. And she called me last night. I sent her a 16-ounce bottle and she walks around in pain all day.
Aww.
And I'm like, she was like, but what? It worked perfectly, but it only worked for like 3 hours. I was like, well, it ain't gonna heal you, right? Like, not instantly, right?
Yeah.
Because the Mother's Kiss will heal over time, right? Because it was in it. But depending on what your issue is and her issue, it will heal it over time. But not instantly. It's going to work for a few hours. You need to keep it with you. Since you have a big bottle, maybe put some in a smaller bottle. Take it to work with you because it's only going to work for a few hours. So, okay, I understand.
Right. You got to reapply.
But we're used to this instant gratification.
Yeah.
And that's another part of the education piece.
But even the non-herbal stuff doesn't work immediately sometimes. Like, unless you're taking like a like painkiller or something, maybe. But I know that I had been dealing with like some neck and shoulder issues, and you actually had given me a product at one of my events last year, and I can't remember, it was an oil.
It's probably the Mother's Kiss.
I feel like it was another name.
Oh, Mother's Everything, maybe. Those are my two
I got it.
names.
I still have it.
Oh, okay.
And I used it. It has like this very faint smell. It's sort of kind of thick, but it's like soothing like towards the end. And it did provide a lot of relief for me.
Good.
And then I remember I had bought some stuff back over from Iceland because, they just have like a ton of great things. I visited a goat farm and she had all these amazing products. I was taking painkillers for my neck because it just got to that point for me. It just did. And I said, I can't take this anymore. It's actually causing more harm than good. You can't keep doing it. And it just, after a few days, it wasn't working for me. And I stopped taking it and I started rubbing that stuff on my neck. And like, we're talking like wild Icelandic flowers, like this stuff that she made that came literally from her farm. And that stuff worked for me like almost overnight, So I named that I understand everybody's body is different. There may be other underlying conditions. But sometimes like it does take, sometimes they will work immediately and sometimes they won't. But
and also sometimes they might not work at all.
And sometimes they might not work at all. And I think this just goes back to, again, I'm not trying to like shame like herbalists like at all, but thank you for saying that because I feel like there are some herbalists who will not say that, oh, this works. It's going to work. Like, it may not.
No, it may not. It may not. And that is a testament to the Most High. That's why it's millions of plants on this planet.
So many.
And thousands of ones that are medicinal. So again, I tell people in a heartbeat, if the Mother's Kiss ain't working for you, please don't write it off. Let me know. Because there's 50 other herb blends that I can put together that might be the one you need. And this is why so many herbs are for pain. I mean, you can name 10 herbs that'll do anti-inflammatory, 10 herbs that'll do pain. So if the burdock ain't working for you, maybe you need some oregano.
Yeah.
Maybe you need something different, right? And so again, I encourage people not to write stuff off. Come back to me. Even another Mother's Kiss client, I gave her a 16-ounce bottle. I talked to her the other day, and she said, oh my gosh, Tammy, her pain was walking 13, right?
Oh,
she was like,
man.
I'm at a 3, and I'm loving life. And she was just so excited about being a walking 3. And she was like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And all I could hear was 3.
That's all you heard was 3. I don't want to be
like,
a walking 3. I don't want none.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay, so wait a minute. I'm glad you're good, but why do you have, what's going on? You still got pain? She said, well, it's just a 3. It's no big deal. No, it's a big deal because you have pain.
Yeah.
Right? And so thank you for telling me that. And please tell me that, because what that allows me, I use and I teach the basic folk method. And I do that for safety purposes. I don't try to make pharmaceutical grade herbal products. Some herbalists do, and that's okay. That's their calling. It ain't mine. Mine is basic. But what that feedback allowed me to do was to say, okay, and I explained to her, the next batch of the extracts that I make for my mother's kiss, I'm gonna make it a little stronger. I can do that. I made it basic. So now I know, because you're at a 3, so when I do my cramp bark extract, I'm gonna make that a little stronger. When I do my Spilanthes extract, I'm gonna make that a little stronger. That way, when I put that blend together next with the stronger, it's gonna be stronger, right? And so you'll get, hopefully, away from that 3 and down to a 0 or 1, and that's the goal. And if you don't, then we're gonna move to another plant. We're gonna move to another plant because there's so many plants.
And can you repeat again what you said around that sometimes herbs don't work?
Sometimes herbs don't work. Everybody's body is different. I will tell you in a heartbeat, look, we just got finished talking about the wonderful aspects of dandelion, but we also talked about milk thistle, we talked about burdock. Dandelion might not do the trick for you. Burdock might be the one that does it for you, or the milk thistle might be all you need. And sometimes, people try to say that, I don't need the doctor because I want to be solely on the plants. I'm the first person to discourage that. Don't do that. Don't be relying on me to be your doctor. Because
there's disclaimers to this.
That is not the role, And I mean, because of where we are once upon a time, it was the role because that's all we had.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But where we are in society now, we have the benefits of technology. Albeit some of it might be questionable.
Absolutely.
Some of it is valid.
Absolutely.
And we need that stuff.
Absolutely. 1,000%.
Some viral infections require, even with cancer patients, you might need that radiation. I'm not pushing the radiation. I'm not pushing chemotherapy. But you might need that to get a handle on your situation. And when you do, don't feel guilty. Just come see me after.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to make your body feel better
after
that.
I'm so glad that you named that. And I am guilty of being in this space of and I'm not a proponent for some of the things that you named either. And I'm guilty of even before I was deeply, dove into this space of natural. And it had to take me some years to be
you can't be 100%.
You can't be 100%. And there is some medicines for a reason. There is technology for a reason. And even if I don't 100% agree with it, sometimes you need that little push. And we are in a country that does not give a damn about our health either. And there are conditions in our environment and they create these things because they're money makers. And unfortunately, you have to use it because the way our food system is set up, the way that the food monopoly is set up, they don't give a damn, so
they can't patent the plant.
Yeah.
And they know that. And so, I could patent Mother's Kiss. For what? I tell you right now what's in it. Olive oil. Comfrey extract.
It was comfrey.
Extract.
That's what you gave me. Okay. Comfrey.
Comfrey extract. Spilanthes extract. And cramp bark extract. No gatekeeping. I'm trying to teach people how to be okay without needing me. Sometimes it's right, exactly. Right, because people kind of want you to be beholden onto them, and I ain't for that. And now people tell me in a heartbeat, look, Tammy, I'm not making that. I'm just not doing it. And that's fine. You can buy from me.
Absolutely.
But if you got the wherewithal, let me show you. Let me teach you how to fish so you can make you some fish. Because I'm not I don't.
And that shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't like. And listen, I am the person that will probably tell you that I'm not making a lot of stuff, but I know where to get it from. But I shouldn't have to be.
You can.
If I wanted to, I could.
Yeah.
Right. But I understand, like, at some point, you can't be like totally dependent. But also, like, you have a business, and so we need to sell out your products so you can make money.
Well, that's fine too. But I want you to be able to make it in a pinch. You never know.
I totally get what you're saying.
That's
yes.
why I want to promote growing too. Everybody should have a little herb garden.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about my sister
space.
who's always making concoctions for her hair, different herbal mask and like different oils, like in a heartbeat.
She's done. She's drank the Kool-Aid. We should all be doing that. Let me tell you. And it was so funny. Like my daughter's out there. She's 23. My oldest is 28. So right around COVID, when I kind of went head in on everything, I stopped buying stuff in the house, right? They were in college and stuff at the time, but back home. So, yeah, I was like, Mommy don't have no toothpaste. So where's the lotion? Oh, I make my own toothpaste, make my own lotion, make my own body wash. You either using what I got in there or you can go buy your own stuff.
I know that's right.
And and some of the stuff they use and some of the stuff they go buy their own stuff.
It's kind of like food for me. Like, I'm tired of buying certain condiments and stuff like that. I make my own salad dressings.
Exactly.
I make my own, like, everything. Like, I might
do it.
And it tastes better.
And it's so much better and fresher.
And fresher.
And it's like, wow. But I don't know the last time I bought toothpaste or mouthwash or body wash. Nope. And I feel, I'm gonna tell you, it's very empowering.
It is so empowering.
Not to have to buy those things. And like, I'll cheat every now and then because I use my body wash bases, which again, I don't gatekeep, Stevenson's Castile.
Okay.
Right? I like to use that as my base. Mm-hmm. But when I can't get that, I go buy some Dr. Teal's. Okay, I get the
no judgment.
No judgment, but I doctor it up with my extract, right? So my Dr. Teal might have calendula extract and skullcap extract in it and some lemon balm extract, but it's still Dr. Teal's, So again, we can use the tools that are available to us and just enhance them so we can be better.
Absolutely. So this has been so much fun. And I got to invite you back to a part 2 because for real, because in a part 2, I want to get down to like the crux, and maybe I just got to come meet you out where you are, like where you do the growing and stuff. Because I want to get into like the actual like production of the herbs, what that process is. But as we wind down, because we have a few more minutes, you've already spoke to like some of the like staple herbs that are some of your faves. So we talked about burdock root, we talked about milk thistle, we talked about dandelion, which I've all heard of. What are some of just a couple maybe other herbs that you think people should just keep on hand, like as an everyday basis, just like in the cabinet in case? And for me, I love to keep oregano oil because I love it.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Oregano oil is definitely a good one. I would say calendula. That's a plant that you should just have in your yard.
It's called calendula.
Calendula is
calendula. Okay.
Calendula is the way it's pronounced.
Oh.
Calendula is easy to understand.
Enlighten me.
Beautiful orange flowers, right? And so calendula, I would say everybody should have that.
Okay.
Plantain, I call that the Benadryl of plants.
Okay.
Everybody should
I got some tea from you. I bought some plantain tea from you.
That,
I still haven't used because I got so much tea. But I got that from you. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah, that one. And I would say mullein, elderberry. It's so many, but in this area,
like a staple. It's kind of like, when you think about condiments in your refrigerator, right? Like some people like, you always got to have your ketchup. You always got to have your mustard, even if you're making it yourself.
Mullein has to be a staple.
Okay.
Mullein has to be a staple. Calendula has to be a staple. And again, the only reason I shy away from it because access. Like I want to say eucalyptus, but you might not always be able to get that.
Yeah.
Right? And that's something that you can grow, but a lot of people aren't familiar with the fact that it grows very well here.
Yeah, I just started using a eucalyptus body wash, and I love it.
My eucalyptus extract. I should have bought you some of that to try. Oh my God, it's delicious. It's one of the cleanest tinctures I've ever done. It's just unexplainable amount of refreshment.
Yes, absolutely.
But again, calendula, plantain, mullein, elderberry. If you can have those things, you can cover most things.
Okay.
You can cover most things. And You can cover those
Listen,
things.
I like it. All right. So my final question, and I think this is we could go down a rabbit hole, about this, but you did mention, like there's some folks who just aren't in the weeds, like no pun intended or pun
Right.
intended, to grow things. And would you say that growing herbs is a bit easier or less laborious than like actual like growing, like building out like a big garden in your backyard? And I'm asking this question to just to try to inspire some folks. If they're like, listen, I want to start growing herbs, like this is like my basic thing that I want to do. Like, what advice would you give them? And is it a little bit less intimidating than actual like starting a backyard garden?
So, this is a good question, and I'm glad you asked, because just throw the seeds in the yard. They are literally weeds. And again, certain companies put a lot of advertisement into pulling up your dandelion. Those same companies own the dialysis offices. They own those places. They own those places. They own the places that make the machines. They own the places that get the. So again, any herb is gonna grow like a weed. So you think about it, when we think of conventional weeds, we thinking they're all over the place. If you look through the cracks of the sidewalk, plantain is growing. You look through the cracks of the sidewalk, you'll find ivy and you'll find different medicinals.
Yes.
All of them grow like that. All of them grow like that. It's so funny. One of the places I'm farming, and I was looking over some of the rules and regulations, and it was like, weed management is important. I'm thinking, everything I grow is a weed. So how does that work for me? You know what I mean? But again, these are things that we're disconnected from, because we're not putting those things together, because we've been taught to kill the weeds.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. It's funny you say that, because I remember growing up and I totally forgot about like the weeds and the herbs and stuff in the crack of a side. Like,
I don't know how old you are, but do you
nostalgia.
remember taking a dandelion and putting it under your chin? Did
Yes,
you ever do that?
I
did
do.
that. I did that. I had 3 sisters.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't know
When we
what I
were
was gonna do with
little,
that.
when we were little, I remember oh my gosh, Tammy is bringing up all the memories. So what you're saying is just throw some seeds down the backyard. Funny story before we literally wrap up. So in front of my parents' house, it's where they live. It like untouched. I ain't gonna even put it out there because I don't even want nobody coming over there trying to do crazy business. But it's really untapped like earth. So like that entire community, they grow everything. I mean, everything. Fruits, and they got fruit trees, banana trees, like everything. I love the neighborhood that they live in. And even when they moved into the house, all sorts of exotic flowers. There was I think a plum tree,
Nice.
like just already
tree.
there, just like very fertile, like soil over in that neighborhood. So I think it was a couple years ago during the pandemic, my mom noticed something growing in the front yard. And I was like, what? We thought they were like, I don't know what we thought it was, but they were blossoming flowers at first. And we were like, we didn't plant anything there. And so I had my friends, my parents' neighbor come look at it. She has a beautiful greenhouse. I said, Mabel, come and look at this. Like something is growing, but we didn't plant anything. So maybe Mabel's like, well, birds drop seeds all the time, which that was new to me. And you can just grow.
That's how the world gets fertile.
No, like, listen, I'm still learning. I mean, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense.
Once you hear it, it's like, no.
Once I hear it, I'm like, oh, yes, of course they drop seeds. But I think because it was like in front of our house, I was like, and they have a lot of exotic birds in my neighborhood too.
Nice.
It's so we're like, okay, we roll with that. Birds drop the seeds. We got something coming, some squash or something. So I think it was like 2 weeks later, we're at the house and my sister's there, and we're like, Centuria, like there's stuff growing in front of the house. She said, oh, she was like, I threw some cucumber seeds out in the front that she had a cucumber that she had eaten. So the little like seeds, she just threw them out there, and cucumbers have been growing there ever since.
And aren't the flowers beautiful?
They are they were yellow and they were so
flowers.
beautiful. Me and my mom worked.
And the flower becomes the cucumber.
We were cracking up. My sister was like, oh, I had a cucumber. I just tossed the seeds out. Back to what you just said. And now we just have like this little like section in the front. It grows cucumbers, and we don't have to do anything.
Nope, and they're gonna come back every year and I think they're gonna
Oh my goodness. So that is hilarious.
Isn't that awesome?
It is amazing. Like If you treat Mother Nature right and just let her do her thing, she would do her thing.
She's gonna treat you right every time.
Absolutely. A testament. Tammy, this has been amazing.
Yeah, fun.
I want to have you back on the show. I need to be boots to the ground with you though. Like that's the next, we can do some interviewing out in the field, out in the herbal garden. Where can folks find you? How can they, support, purchase your products? Like let the world know.
You can purchase either, if I might have some links in my bio, but just call me. just call me, right? And really, I don't have a storefront. I'm farming at 3-4 different locations. I'm all over the place. So yeah, just call me.
And what's your Instagram handle?
Great Mothers Garden Solutions.
Okay, so y'all can follow her there. You can see where she's popping up. If you need some, send her a DM.
My number is on there. Feel free to call me.
Y'all got all the information. It has been a pleasure. Thank you.
We ain't talk about bees.
Oh my gosh.
We got so many things to discuss. Right?
Ooh, okay, this is part 3, y'all. This is part 3. It bees like that with some guests. Part 3.
Come into a hive.
Yes, and I love bees. I love honey. So I bought some of your honey.
I should have bought some honey today.
Oh my gosh. All right, y'all. We gotta go because Tammy will be in here for the next 5 hours.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
I really appreciate you having me.
Likewise. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Peace. Thank you for listening to Edible Activists. You can find today's episode on Spotify, iTunes, and Simplecast, and follow along on all social media platforms at Edible Activists for updates. Want to support this platform? You can do so by purchasing our commerce or connecting with me about media partnerships at www.edibleactivist.com. In the words of Baba Tariq Adunu, there is no culture without agriculture. Peace.